On Tuesday, December 15th, 1970, episode 12 of season 2 of the comedy sketch show Monty Python's Flying Circus aired. The episode was titled Spam. In one of its sketches, also named Spam, a husband and wife are lowered into a cafe filled with Vikings. Once seated, they ask the waitress about the menu. She proceeds to describe every item, each containing Spam, the canned meat. One dish, for example, is Spam, 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 Egg, and Spam. When the woman requests a meal without Spam, the waitress refuses, and the Vikings around them start singing, Spam, 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 lovely Spam, wonderful Spam. The scene escalates as the Vikings chant louder, drowning out the conversation and turning the whole interaction into absurdity. Eventually, the sketch ends, and we can assume that the woman still didn't get a spam-free meal. Although the sketch had no direct connection to media or the internet, it ironically foreshadowed the future of both and contributed to the adoption of the term spam in internet vernacular. In the context of digital media, spam refers to excessive, irrelevant, unwanted, or repeated communication or content. Following the Monty Python sketch, during the 1980s in early online chat rooms, message boards, and virtual games, users would repeatedly type spam or other quotes from the sketch to disrupt conversations and drown out unwanted users. The term also came to describe the act of posting excessive, repeated messages on file and message-sharing networks. It's fitting that spam, the canned meat, is processed, unhealthy, high in calories, fat, and sodium, yet low in nutrients. From the 1980s onward, the internet has evolved at a rapid pace. Between 1981 and 1989, the number of hosts connected to the internet grew from a few hundred to hundreds of thousands, with a jump from 80,000 to over 160,000 hosts by 1989. That year, the World Wide Web was created, making digital content easily accessible and shareable for the average user. By the mid-1990s, there were over 100,000 websites. Around 40% of American households owned a computer, compared to just 15% a few years prior. The internet created new opportunities for connection and creativity, allowing individuals to message people worldwide, share their art, create digital profiles and stores, download movies, books, and order goods to be delivered. As of 2024, approximately 70% of the global population owns a smartphone, equating to around 5 billion people. There are now more than 1 billion websites, with the average person spending over 6 hours online every day. The internet and its devices have become central to our daily lives, shaping the human experience. With these new opportunities, however, have come new problems, particularly concerning spam and spam-like media. Spam here refers to anything from unwanted emails to digital content that exploits algorithms, automation, or excessive posting, often driven by the goal of gaining views and engagement. Though spam might seem like a small issue compared to other internet problems, its growing prevalence points to deeper systemic concerns within the internet's structure and future. The internet no longer just has spam on the menu. It seems to be the central feature of the menu itself. Worse, many of us are growing numb to this constant influx, desensitized to the content and craving simpler, easier-to-digest material that requires less from us, often overlooking its impact. As content creators and consumers, we increasingly prioritize content that's quick, easy, and processed, avoiding deeper, more meaningful material. Often, this content is created solely to gain views and maximize engagement. In this environment, creators focus on gaming the system to keep up with ever-changing algorithms. The result is often content that is repetitive, shallow, or insincere, just like the spam-filled menu of Monty Python's cafe. A theory that has gained popularity recently, especially with the rise of generative AI, is known as the dead internet theory. The theory, originating from an anonymous forum post in 2021, suggests that most of the activity on the internet is fake, either automated by bots or generated by AI. While the theory is controversial, its broad sentiment resonates with some. It argues that much of the content and online interactions we encounter are not genuine human efforts, but instead artificially produced. According to the theory, the Internet, once a space for unregulated human interaction and growth, began to decline around 2016. In that year, cybersecurity company Imperva reported that bots, automated software programs, accounted for more than half of all online activity. Of this, approximately 30% of website visits were from malicious bots, designed for harmful actions such as hacking and theft. The remaining 20% were considered helpful bots, which assist with maintenance and monitoring of the Internet. These findings are nearly a decade old, and it's reasonable to assume these numbers have only increased since then. It's important to note that these figures represent the entire Internet, including every corner of it. So while it doesn't necessarily mean that most content you consume is fake, especially if you use well-established and curated websites, it does mean that fake content and spam are unavoidable. Regardless of your level of savvy or what you do online, you'll inevitably encounter some form of spam-like content. In 2024, Jack Conte, CEO of Patreon, spoke at the South by Southwest conference on the topic of the death of the follower and the future of creativity on the web. His presentation focused on the shift towards algorithm-driven feeds on major platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which have moved away from follow-based content distribution. Conte argued that instead of users selectively curating content based on who they follow, platforms now rely on algorithms that rank content based on engagement metrics, such as watch time. This has led to a growing divide between content creators and their audiences. According to Conte, the follow feature, once central to the Internet's structure, is now less significant. Conte explained, "In my opinion, the follow is not just a feature. It is the foundation of human creativity and organization. With the focus shifting away from following, creators now find themselves making content for algorithms rather than for a dedicated fan base." He added that, for the first time since the advent of Web 2.0, creators' posts may not be seen by their followers, causing a breakdown in what he defines as a true connection between creators and their audiences. The change in content distribution raises additional concerns, particularly about creative freedom. Conte explained, "Now, my content must outperform others based on a set of criteria I don't control, understand, or even agree with. Instead of focusing on questions like, what do I want to create? What excites me? What do I want to produce as an artist? What will my audience enjoy? Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what the ranking algorithm will favor. Subconsciously, or consciously, this shifts my creative output towards meeting the platform's goals, rather than my own." The primary goal of most social media platforms is profit, which is largely driven by advertising revenue. To sustain and grow this revenue, these platforms need to attract users and keep them engaged for as long as possible. Algorithms that rank content based on user interaction seem to be the most effective way to achieve this goal. As a result, algorithms increasingly dictate what we see and how online content is distributed, with little regard for individual or cultural benefit. The ultimate aim here is profit. While algorithms are not inherently bad, they do offer certain benefits, such as helping creators get discovered. Likewise, striving for engagement and longer watch times isn't always negative, as it can help improve the quality of content. However, one major issue is that under these conditions, content that thrives is often either outright spam or closely resembles spam. Creators may alter their content to fit what's trending, often abandoning their original interest to create what works for the algorithm, leading to repetitive, formulaic, or poorly executed content. Otherwise, they risk being ignored by the algorithm and forgotten by anyone not in their core audience. The issues of fake traffic, algorithm-driven disconnect, and spam content have only worsened with the rise of generative AI. AI models can now engage in conversations, create digital art and videos, manage profiles and purchases, and execute various other tasks, often without human involvement. This shift means that human participation on the internet is becoming less central, and we're left with a new kind of internet, one that is different from what we once knew. While we can't predict exactly what this new version of the internet will look like, what is clear is that AI will continue to improve, and the problems of fake content and spam will likely intensify. Generative AI is not inherently harmful, and it has many valuable uses. However, if we're not cautious, it could lead to even unhealthier digital consumption. It will become increasingly difficult to find meaningful, high-quality content amidst the overwhelming flood of AI-generated or spam-like material. The internet, if left unchecked, risks becoming a place of superficial engagement, driven by profit and metrics rather than genuine connection. While there is hope for improvement through regulation and technological advancements, history suggests that these changes often lag behind the technologies they aim to control. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on creators, consumers, and platform users to shape the future of the internet. As the saying goes, we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. In today's context, this could be rephrased as, we are the average of the 5 creators and 5 content categories we engage with online. Deciding what we interact with on the internet is just as crucial as choosing our friends or associates. And in today's environment, this decision is more important than ever. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if the dead internet theory is true. What matters is whether we can maintain what's important in this new era of technology. What matters is preserving our humanity, the desire to create, communicate, and connect with each other honestly and without interference. We still seek meaningful relationships with others, with ourselves, and with the networks that bind us. The internet can still be a space where this happens. Yes, there will always be spam, and it may take over many platforms, but with discipline and effort, we can still build healthy communities with minimal spam. We can still create places for real connection and interaction, breaking bread together in meaningful ways. As Jack Conte, founder of Patreon, put it, the hardest lesson I've learned as a creator and CEO is to trust what I truly want and stay true to that over time. It's easier said than done, but don't let someone else dictate your desires. Otherwise, you'll end up with what they want, not what you truly want.